into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
Hello, all my Rowdies fans out there. This is James Knowles coming at you in the RBLR Rowdies feed of the RBLR Sports Podcast. I am here, as always, with Leo. Leo, we had a weekend. We had a game on that weekend for the Rowdies, not just a bunch of other sports. How did you feel after this weekend? You feeling okay?
I'm feeling a lot better than I did last week, and I can tell you that. But yeah, Rowdies win. It was an enjoyable weekend. I can't be mad about anything. Well, one thing, if I may say, it has to deal with European soccer, specifically Manchester City losing that Community Shield. But besides that, I had an enjoyable weekend.
I think all Barcelona fans are a little bit more upset than you right now. So
so that kind of cheers me up. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll just leave it there for the time being, but we'll get back to our regularly scheduled Rowdies program here. And we have a good game to talk about, and we have a preview to do as well. But first, we got to cover the game that was last week on Friday. The Rowdies played the New York Red Bulls. It was up in New Jersey at the Montclair State University soccer field, and it was a 2-1 win. So that's what we love to see. I don't think either of our predictions came true in the end. I predicted a 3-0 win, if I'm not mistaken. And Leo, what did you say?
I predicted a 3-1 win. I was one goal off. Jordan Adebayo-Smith, you costed me a prediction this week.
Well, I predicted the 3-0 win, like I said, and within the first, 10, 15 minutes of the game, that had blown up in my face. So I was, I was like, okay, great. So we're off to a good start for what I had hoped for.
That was one of the first things I thought of once Red Bulls got that first goal was, okay, James' predictions gone. Mine still, has potential to fulfill its destiny, but didn't quite work out that way.
Yeah, it definitely. Yeah, I'm glad at least that maybe it was good that Jordan Adebayo missed those shots. Of course, I'm only kidding there. So we'll do a little quick bit on the pregame press conference. There wasn't too much to talk about. The main thing that I wanted to highlight though was this: Neil Collins said that Matthew Serbel was back from injury. He was ready to go. And Juan Tejada and Steven Dos Santos appeared to be very close to being back. He said sometime in August. And as it happened, Duba was on the bench. He did not come off the bench, which, fair enough, that's fine. But we did have that little bit of information, so that's good. And the other guy who was on there was Jan Ekra. So they had him to celebrate his 200th appearance, which was something we mentioned last week. Really cool. And I just wanted to extend another congratulations to the guy before we move into the rest of the segments for this show. And Leo, I believe that you have the next bit of information before we actually get to the game itself.
Yeah, so even before the game kicked off, we've seen changes in the lineup and also the formation. I believe the only change was Zach Steinberger coming out the starting 11, and he was replaced by Jordan Adebayo-Smith. So we've seen a change of formation with that replacement. So instead of a three, I would say a 3-5-1-1, we went to a 3-5-2. We've seen the usual back line of Aaron Guillen, Forrest Lasso, Jordan Scarlett. Evan Laura is usually between the sticks. We had Lewis. Well, from the way I seen it, James, I don't know if in your perspective it was the same, but I seen Lewis Hilton playing that CDM role again with Jan Ekra, Lawrence White, just in front of him, controlling the middle of the field. And we have Lachowecki coming in on the left-hand side, and we have Connor Antley playing his usual right wing side. And up top, we had Seba Gonzalez, the captain, of course, paired up with the young Jordan Adebayo-Smith.
Yeah, I did notice that, the way that they set up, pretty much like what you said, but it was good to see that, we were going to try this out, see if it could get back on track, let's say, if they could have the success that we had when we first saw them line up this way. So, yeah, I didn't mind that from the start, and it is worth noting as well that within the New York Red Bulls 2 lineup, they really were going for the Baby Bulls nickname they have, because there was a 16-year-old and a 15-year-old in their starting 11. So That I think is pretty cool, but I did want to highlight that before we move. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, it was two 16-year-olds. That guy must have had a birthday here, so good for him. But
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead with the rest of your coverage here.
Yeah, so it's funny that you mentioned that because for kids, that young playing against the Rowdies, it was a very physical game from the start. We've seen, I believe it was a total of, I'm not sure if it was one or two yellow cards in that first half, but we've seen a lots of body to body contact, lots of pushing, lots of shoving, tackles going in. And I was like, are we playing the Red Bulls 2 or the actual Red Bulls team? Because it was just very physical.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a play where I believe Adebayo-Smith was on the counter, or the ball was in the air, and the keeper for the Red Bulls 2 comes out and he just absolutely kicks Jordan Adebayo-Smith. And obviously, if you're Rowdies, if you're the Rowdies, you're complaining to the referee for potential red card. But that was just a little bit of what we've seen from this very physical game.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that. It is a style that they play at the New York Red Bulls level in MLS, I should say, at the MLS level. The team does try to play, very high intensity. Obviously, that's going to involve a lot of, kicking players when they have the ball, trying to make them lose it, all that kind of stuff. And I believe that that's something they try to filter down into the New York Red Bulls 2 team, and then the Baby Bulls even below that at the academy level, so that they can try and instill this style of play. It's something that you'll even see if you watch Red Bull teams over in Austria and Germany. So they definitely do instill it from the top to the bottom.
Yeah, definitely. And in regards to how the Riders approach this game, from what I've seen, it looked like they approached this game in a professional manner. And what I mean by that is that they were gonna sit back, not too much, but they were gonna let Red Bulls have most of the possession. Whether they were gonna let them or Red Bulls decided to come out with most of the possession. Because we look at the stats and the Rowdies only had 42% of the possession, and Red Bulls had 58%. So, they're going to sit back and they're going to counter whenever given the opportunity to do so. And as we usually see when Jordan Adebayo-Smith starts, he likes to stay up at the halfway line, make sure he's not in offside positions. When the ball gets played to him, he's just running on goal. He uses his pace and physicality to his own advantage. And we just seen that the entire game until he was subbed out midway through that second half, where he just proved to be a constant threat on the counter. He had a chance after chance. You could say he could have put away at least two or three of those opportunities he's had, but he kept his head in the game, and he got that very close range goal off of set pieces. And speaking of set pieces, the Riders got two goals from set pieces. And let's admit that goal from Lachowecki, he could have easily tapped it in with his foot, but he wanted to earn some style points, similar to how Van Persie again in that World Cup game against Spain, where he could have just headed it, but instead he wanted to jump in air while headering the ball. So credit to Lachowecki for that skill. I don't know how he managed to get that low so fast, but yeah, credit to him and credit to Jordan Adebayo-Smith to making the most out of those set pieces.
Yeah, I like to watch that highlight and then think about, the Rowdies have a good team in terms of a lot of really good guys, I would say. They are, there are some players who are more charismatic than others. Forrest Lasso stands out on the field. He stands out on social media if you follow a lot of the guys. Lucky Mkosana does a lot of really cool charity work with his home country, Zimbabwe. And, Max Lachowecki, I think, is another really charismatic guy, but in kind of a different sense. He's just got like a cool guy aura almost, and
Exactly.
yeah, he really likes to get himself into plays where what he's doing is kind of maybe not out there or wacky or any of those kind of words, but it's something that is going to be a highlight reel thing. And then to actually put that in the back of the net, that's obviously super cool. But yeah, the other thing that you mentioned was the way that the Rowdies line up in a professional manner. I think that was something that they intended to do here. Now, I would ask in future when they do get the ball to have a little bit better of the passing success percentage. That was not very high in this
Yeah.
game, but the way that they set up was to allow the New York Red Bulls team to have a lot of possession. And I think that that's probably good because a lot of these guys are not used to playing at this level, and we've seen them cough up the ball in dangerous positions in a lot of games so far this season. So if I'm guessing as to what Neil Collins had in mind, it was likely that, give them the chance to give up the ball, and they will probably do so. I'm
Yeah.
assuming, I'm assuming that that's a really a good way to approach a team like this, who probably will have, a fair play of missed touches, but then unfortunately, obviously, sometimes it also goes against you, and you're the team that has a lot of misplayed passes.
Yeah, and you touch on how these young players don't really at the level to where they could be the team that possesses the ball the entire game, but also not knowing how to execute a plan or execute a play with having most of the possession. And we also seen how this inexperienced team, I would say, they don't necessarily have situations to rely on where they can close out a game or hang out to a 1 goal lead. As we've seen this past Friday night, where they did get the first goal of the game. It was it was earlier than expected. Although I didn't really in my predictions, obviously I expected a goal, but I didn't expect them to score so early or get the first goal
Yeah.
of the game. But yeah, that goal, it just came honestly, it just came. It seemed a little bit too easy to me. They played, I believe, like two, three balls in the middle, and no one really, no one from the Rowdies really played well to intercept that ball or even get bodies around the ball to apply some kind of pressure. And the goal scorer, I mean, Jordan Scarlett is doing his thing, just holding his ground, just keeping his stance. But I think the goal that the Rowdies scored, it was just a really great skill from the goal scorer to just, he knew he couldn't really, he might have not taken on Jordan Scarlett 1v1, so he just, cut a little bit to his right foot and then just shot it. And it was a good goal, but, I had to rewind that play a couple times because I just seen how many yellow shirts I seen surrounding that one body of a Red Bull player, and I don't know how no one applies any sort of pressure, for that goal to be prevented.
Yeah, it's I thought that it was one thing, poor defending that players get beat and allow somebody to take a shot and allow a couple of players to, get into the space where they can set themselves up to put a shot on target in the first place. But this starts with the New York Red Bulls having the ball at their back line, like their very last defender, and he plays it into the midfield. The one player that receives it, Daniel Edelman, he turns and he actually goes to make a pass, and his pass is intercepted. But when it is intercepted, it unfortunately falls to the feet of a player for the New York Red Bulls. So it's something that you have to think about in terms of, if a ball is about to be intercepted, you kind of have to be on your feet at all times. You have to be ready for the ball to fall to you wherever you are on the field, and you have to be ready to react to that, and probably in a way that is a bit more, you have to be proactive, obviously, and be ready then to do that reaction is the main thing. Because when it falls to the New York Red Bulls player, he's in a bit of space. He's able to turn, find somebody who lays it back to him, and then they find Jake Lachowecki out wide, and he is able to beat Jordan Scarlett enough to give himself room to get a shot off. And if anybody remembers from the last time that we played the Red Bulls, I had called out Jake Lachowecki as a player that I didn't expect to do very well on the dribble. I had seen him for several games before that just dribble into a cul-de-sac and ultimately lose the ball and give it away. And that was in my preview, and then he scored against us the very next game. So he apparently, much like several other players we've mentioned, has listened to our podcast, said, "Oh, I don't like at all what you just said, and I'm gonna put it back in your face." And then he remembered this time around. So I'm gonna stop mentioning players by name when I say, this guy can't do that or that guy can't do this. I'm just gonna say a general forward, a general defender.
Yeah, I would be careful about that because maybe every single player in that position, if you say general forward, maybe if you say general forward, maybe all the forwards are gonna come out and say, "Hang on, which one of us is he talking crap about? Let's all go show him let's all go show him why he's wrong and why he shouldn't be saying those things."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I want to go back to touch on Lachowecki and Adebayo-Smith. First on Lachowecki, he did his goal proved to be the winning goal, and he got the assist on that first goal. But credit to both players for keeping plays alive. Staying alert for that second ball. And I don't know if you could agree with me on this, James, but Lachowecki kind of reminds me of a James Milner in a way. Someone who just seems to have always a bright attitude. Someone who knows his role when going onto the field. Someone who makes the most out of his chances. Someone who's just a professional soccer player. Knows that if he's bench, he knows when he comes on the field, he's gonna have to perform it the way a coach wants him to, and he's gonna put in a solid performance.
Oh yeah, I think that he is an awesome squad player to have. There are some players at this level they're going to be upset that they're not getting a game. I think that this is obviously a very good level of soccer, and I think that everybody who has seen the Rowdies play would probably agree with that. But it is true that this is not the highest level of soccer. This isn't the highest level you're going to get paid and all that kind of stuff. I think that if you're not a regular starter, it might be the case that you could get a little antsy and you could get a little, hey, what's going on here? I think that Max Lachowecki, though, embodies perfectly the team spirit kind of guy. He is always in a good mood. He's popping up on their social media feed, and big smile on his face all the time, under the mustache. Don't forget the mustache. And he's obviously trying to put himself in good positions when he is out on the field. Like I said, he wants to get those highlights, and it's not the case that like when he tries it, it doesn't work. He will often get on there, actually.
Yeah, exactly. And he just, like I said, he just executes the plan or whatever Neil Collins, whatever his Collins instructions are for Lachowecki. It looks like in his game that he's doing exactly that. And as far as Adebayo Smith, time after time, we just seen him being a threat towards those defenders, never giving them a break. Even when he was a good distance away from the ball, he was still pressed. You could see the nervousness from the Red Bulls defenders, not necessarily knowing how to clear a ball, making a keeper come out way off his line more than once. And that second goal that the Rowdies got, that the Rowdies scored, which ultimately, like I said, proved to be the game-winning goal. They got that corner because Adebayo Smith once again made it very uncomfortable for defenders to really clear a ball. So once he puts that pressure and he collects the ball, although he doesn't finish it off, just being there and posing that threat, like I said, it gets shaky if you're a defender from the opposite team.
Yeah, I think that Jordan Adebayo-Smith is another player who hasn't gotten a great ton of playing time this season, much like Max Lachowecki, but he does, again, seem to embody a very good team spirit kind of approach. Whenever he gets out there, you can obviously tell he's working hard. And as a striker, we do have to point this out. He did miss a lot of very good chances in this game, and over the course of this season, he has done that as well. But the thing to remember is that if he's in the position to get all of those chances, that obviously means he's working his tail off. I would definitely say that Jordan Adebayo-Smith just wants to be out there, and that'll come with time. All of these chances that he's missing, that probably has something to do with age and a lack of professional experience because of the age, naturally. But as more time on the field actually comes, that will lead to a greater deal of confidence. And when he gets into those positions, this is something that we've hit on in lots of instances over the course of the season. You want to be in a point mentally where you're not second guessing yourself. Whenever you have the ball and wherever you are, you know what you need to do next. You're not thinking, oh, should I do this? Should I? Well, wait, where am I? You don't want to be doing that. And again, that'll come with time, and I think that Jordan Adebayo-Smith is really setting himself up for a good future. He's going to have a lot to build on this season, and obviously he's going to have quite a bit of success, even if it's on a relatively low percentage of the time.
Yeah, so I think we both agree on that. He still needs time to develop that killer instinct, that striker instinct of not wasting chances, being more clinical when once you are in the box or once you are in good positions. And I'm pretty sure he'll develop that. Like you say, he's still a young player. And speaking about another striker on the team, Lucky Mkosana, we see him coming back from his injury. He got to play, I believe, about 20 minutes or so. but it's a good sign for fans. He's getting more and more time. Hopefully soon he's fitting up to play at least a half or a whole game. But it's a great sign, and obviously we've seen Dos Santos on the bench, so that's nothing to be proud of besides the win. But yeah, overall, we could both agree that it wasn't a pretty win, but we do know the game plan was solid enough to get all 3 points and head back to Ao Lang with the win.
Yeah, hopefully in the future when we play this team and when we play other teams, we can take the note again. You can't be kind of in your warm up mode when you're into the first 5, 10, 15 minutes of the game. You have to
Exactly.
be you have to be in the game. You have to be on your toes. If one of the opposing players makes a pass and your guy gets in the middle of it and blocks that pass, then you have to be there to pick up the ball that's bouncing away from his block. You can't just
Mhm.
let the New York Red Bulls player pick it up and then find his own man. I think that's something again that that's a lot more easily righted than other problems that we've seen over the course of this season. I think, but it does still persist. So maybe there's more to it than that.
Yeah, maybe, you talk about how when you need to get in game mode once the whistle starts, not when a team concedes on you early or 10, 15 minutes into the game. You need to have that mentality of getting that first goal, of playing well right when the first whistle blows. So that's gonna do it for our analysis part of the game. We're gonna get into a couple questions here. We our first question here, James, for you and I, for both of us to answer. The first question here is: was this win good enough to ignite a small winning streak, whether it's back-to-back winning streaks or a 3, 4 game, possibly even 5 game, like we've seen at the start of the season?
You know, I can't say at this point that I think that this will lead to. Okay, this is how I'll say it. We are hosting Hartford Athletic next, but the
Yeah.
problem after that is we have a game afterwards against the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, and the Pittsburgh Riverhounds are right now the top team in this division. They do have a game in hand, or one more game played than we do, so we will have a chance to make up that 3 point difference, but. They are a good team, and we are playing them in Pittsburgh. I think that this game this weekend coming up against Hartford on everybody's favorite Friday the 13th, I think that we will be able to probably pull off a good result in that game, and we'll get to it a lot more later on in this show. But in terms of turning this into a longer winning streak than 2 games, I just don't know because Hartford are a good team. They're a little bit on the skid. Pittsburgh are the team that is really good right now. That's going to be one of the toughest games that we've played so far, and the Rowdies are themselves in a bit of a rough patch. So I just don't know how I feel about any even mid to short term success here. How are you seeing this?
Well, before I answer this question, you mentioned how everyone loves Friday the 13th. So if Aaron or anyone from the Ralph's Mob is listening, I'm expecting the awesome tea food for Friday the 13th. Now to answer your
Yes.
question, now to answer your question, this is kind of a hard question because we beat Loudoun United, who was a worst place team, and we thought this formation, that new formation at the time, might give us a couple back-to-back wins, and then they go on and they lose to Charlotte Independence, and now you switch things up again and you win this game, who is second to last in the league, and now you're playing the team that's in the top four of our division. So how exactly are you going to perform? What I would say is, although this was a ugly but solid win, I believe Hartford Athletic might make things more difficult because one, you're not playing against a high school team or a college team. You're playing against players who are experienced in this league, older players, more players who you're playing against a team that beat you already. Red Bulls haven't beat you yet, and so overall, I would just say this win it could give some potential. You are playing Hartford, who's a little bit shaky, but again, you yourself are shaky as well, so you don't really know what to expect. But hopefully, it will ignite a small winning streak. I feel like if we, uh, depending on the performance against Hartford, I think we could turn back-to-back wins into a winning streak.
Yeah, I hope that, if we get the result this weekend, something that we would really benefit from, obviously, in terms of the table. But if we can get the result this weekend, then that could really give us a good boost when we get into a really tough game against Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Not that Hartford won't be a tough game, obviously, but yeah, that's the way that I'm looking at it. Is Hartford could be a good boosting off point, or they could be something that drags us even farther down.
Yeah. Definitely. And another question we have here is again talking about Lachowecki, because who doesn't like talking about Lachowecki? Everyone loves him at the moment. The question I have for you, James, is Lachowecki one of the unsung heroes this season?
I gotta say yes. That was
Mhm.
kind of the word that I was looking for earlier. I said he has a very cool guy aesthetic, and a lot of that though, it just comes down to him being, like I said, that really upbeat guy, even though he's not always on the field. He actually started this game, I believe, because Leo Fernandez, who was supposed to start, had to go out with an injury. So the fact that he was even starting was not a given for him. And he goes out there and he
Mhm.
turns in a great performance. We'll get into his stats a little bit more later on, but yeah, he did all sorts of things all over the field, and that's from a position where he wasn't even expected to be the guy out there on the day. Like that is pure unsung level.
Mhm.
That is just so good to see from the guy.
Yeah. I agree with you. Lachowecki gets called in, as we said before. He's more of a squad player. Comes in, gets both a goal and assist. And he proved to be the hero for the night. And I would argue as well that some other unsung heroes for this team. You could talk about Jan Ekra. You could talk about Lewis Hilton. Just the way they hustled, the way they are able to make things calm for the Rowdies. Not only calm, but start plays, generate the pace of a play, know which pass to pick out, switches side to side. These players dictate the pace of the game, dictate how the Rowdies will finish off a play or even start a play. So I would say Jan Ekra and Lewis Hilton deserve some credit for unsung heroes this season as well.
Jan Ecker has had a little bit of a streak, I would say, recently of pretty good games. He's not doing anything I think that will really show up on a highlight, but
Yeah.
he is
Hmm.
playing his role really well, and that's kind of a big thing. Is you got to be able to do the position that you are put in really well. You have to do those responsibilities the way that you are, the way that facilitates the actual attacking game plan that your coach has been teaching to you all season. And Jan Ecker is absolutely one of those guys. So I thought that he was great in the game that I saw a couple of weeks ago live, and then he was good after that. He was good this week. Again, nothing highlight level. He could still take it up a notch as well, but definitely doing pretty well on his own position. So another one we have here, if we are moving along to this, why did the Red Bulls, who are towards the bottom of the table, make this a tough evening for the Rowdies? They obviously didn't have a lot going for them coming in, but they score the first goal. They didn't let us have it easy. We could have had a higher score in this game, but ultimately we didn't because a lot of their plays. What led to that? Do you think?
Um, I would say the main reasons, one, when you're that young, you're playing with so much energy, which is why it was a very physical game. Like I said, they had two 16-year-olds start this game. So one, once they felt that first goal, they were really full of themselves. You saw the momentum increase. You saw them continue to be the team that wants to pass the ball around. I think that's what made it a tough inning for the Rowdies. Maybe they can really cope with the energy, or also their passes that were quicker than the Rowdies, and also they were always sniffing for that small chance of scoring, and we've seen late in the second half where I believe it came out from a throw in, and we see some miscommunication between Laurel and Forrest Lasso, where it could have ended really really badly between the two if it wasn't for the Red Bulls player hitting the post. It could have
Oh
been two
yeah.
all. Yeah, that was a really, really bad mistake from both Lasso and Laurel. So I think that's what made it difficult for the Rowdies, was that the energy and how these players were always sniffing. Even when they were one goal up, they were always sniffing and trying, with the possession to get another goal. But ultimately, their inexperience showed. that you don't need to be the dominant team to win a game. You just have to win a game. It's simple as that.
Exactly. Yeah. And this goes back to what I was saying about the style that the Red Bulls play. They really like to disrupt players opposing players when they have the ball, and they like to try to press and get you to cough up the ball in dangerous positions. That was obviously the Rowdies' game plan by giving them more of the possession, but the way that the Red Bulls usually play is to try and win the ball very high up in the opponent's half, and then obviously get good chances because they're so close to goal. The way that you do that is you knock players off of their game, both figuratively and quite literally. You knock them off the ball. But with that said, that also leads me into another point that I have here. How did the Red Bulls finish the night with 11 players on the field, Leo?
That kind of blew my mind. I thought the incident with the goalie Adebayo-Smith, I thought that should have been a red because his leg was up high. People could say that like his cleats weren't up. I mean his studs weren't all the way up. Adebayo-Smith wasn't fully through on goal. But if you come in and you miss the ball and you just hit somebody like that, you kick somebody like that, for me that's a sending off. I thought Red Bulls really escaped with that one, and maybe some other challenges where a player would have gotten 2 yellow cards on the night. Given another night, referee might have showed 2 yellow cards or sending off a goalie for that kind of incident. But I was really surprised for the Red Bulls to end up with 10 players on the field because once I seen that foul on Jordan Adebayo-Smith from the goalie, I thought here's a red card coming. Well, we're gonna make this comeback. It might be easy stroll for the Rowdies, and instead. It wasn't an easy stroll, but we did get the win. But like I said, I was really surprised that Red Bulls finished the night with 11 players on the field.
Yeah, no, I think that I had all of the same thoughts that you just mentioned while I was watching the game. It was just like, wait, what is this referee thinking here?
And you've seen the frustration in Lawrence White, Jan Ekra, everyone rushing to the referee. Like you can't just kick a player like that and just receive a yellow card for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was, it was kind of stunning, but we'll just let the referee get away with this one because there's literally nothing we can do about it.
If we would have dropped points, then we would complain even more to the referee.
Oh
We'll
yeah,
yeah.
then I would have had to have at least found his Twitter account or something. But we. So with that question now done and dusted as best we can. Did you like this formation, and did you like the players that we selected to play in it? I thought that it was, I thought that ultimately it did work out, but there were definitely some questions. What did you feel?
Well, I want to start with saying by last week, my hot take was this was the last possible formation that Neil Collins could think of, and he might have listened to the podcast and told me, nope, I got another formation up my sleeve, and he totally did that. Usually when we see this 3-5-2 formation, we see 2 center mids and 1 center attacking mid, but in the middle of the park, we see 1 CDM and 2 center mids, so he had to take out Steinberger and put in Adebayo-Smith, and he kept those three those 3 midfielders of Ekra, White, and Hilton, who we've seen, in recent games, how they've been performing really, really well. So he decides to keep those 3, put in another striker. And I actually like this formation and the selection of players as well. When you have Lawrence White, he's the one that's doing all the running. He's the one doing all the energetic side of being a center mid. And you have Jan Ekra, who's more calm, who's just gonna make his presence known, who's gonna try to pick out the right passes, and you have someone Lewis Hilton who could do the same as Jan Ekra, but also protect that back 3. So I really like the formation. I really like the selection of players as well. In regards if it will work in future games, that's yet to be determined. But the way they approached this game, I thought was good formation for that, because we've also seen Guinzali drop back down, almost play that number 10 role, that center attacking midfielder position, while also playing a top. So in my perspective, I like the formation, and I like the selection of players from Neil Collins, and Crest and Neil Collins for proving me wrong.
Well, I don't know if he set out with that in mind, but it is definitely something that we noted from last week. So I agree with you. Like you said about the formation, it worked out in the end, and especially with the way that he changed it up. That was something that he highlighted in the press conference after the game. Actually, was he said that the first half was a little more open than he would have liked, and it wasn't quite going exactly the way that the team would have wanted it to go in terms of where the ball was being played and who was having the most chances, obviously, from the plays that were happening on the field. So what did he do? He changed it up a little bit, and he moved those players into the positions that you just mentioned. And I think that definitely did work out a lot better once we got to the second half. There was a noticeable shift, and ultimately, we did get those 2 set pieces. We did get the 2 goals off of them, as well as many other chances. So the other thing, though, is if we do like this formation and we do like the players who were involved in it, is this something that we should continue, or should we go back to a prior formation from 2 games ago, from a month ago? What do you think about that now?
I think we're at the, assuming that Dos Santos doesn't start the next game, or Juan Tejada isn't starting the next game. I think you have to, once again, 2 games ago we had tried a new formation and we were like, let's try it again, see how it works. I think we're in the same boat again where, all right, this worked against a bottom, a team from the bottom half of our division. Let's see if it works against a team that's in the top 4. But this time, there's no room for mistakes. Everyone has to be, executing the role efficiently, and we might see some changes coming in the squad. Maybe like Lachowecki gets a rest. Maybe Adebayo-Smith. We might see starting from Lucky. Some players might come in, some players might come out. But I think you give this formation another shot, because like what we said, New Collins had a game plan for this game, and the players executed it good enough to get the win. Let's see if it'll work good enough again to get a win at home against Hartford Athletic.
Yeah, they are a stronger team. Obviously, when we get into the postseason, those are the types of teams that we're going to be facing, as opposed to this iteration of the New York Red Bulls, which, they've won this league in the past, but they're obviously not going to do it this year. So if it can work against them, fair enough. Can it work against teams like Hartford? Can it work against teams like Pittsburgh? And I don't know exactly how well this would do against Pittsburgh because, like we had mentioned, the way that the Rowdies lined up was to allow them to have a lot of possession and hopefully give it up in good positions, in addition to the usual passages of play that might allow them to build up to a goal from possession. That didn't really work because of our passing accuracy, but Pittsburgh is not going to give the ball away in a bunch of bad positions. They are way too clean. They're way too clean a team for that. So how can we turn that into a game plan that will work against them specifically? That will be a totally different task. I would like to see a game in between, like this one with Hartford. Hopefully, we will get a chance to give it a little bit more of a road test before we move on to someone as good as Pittsburgh. But I think.
Yeah, well, one thing I would say quickly is that you talk about teams like Hartford Athletic and Pittsburgh, and also the Miami FC. If you're gonna play this way, if you stick with that CDM and those 2 center mids, you're gonna want to be the team that either possesses the ball more or go 50-50 in that possession wise of the game. And also you can't as much as I like a Jordan Adebayo-Smith, you're gonna need someone like Dos Santos to be up there with Gonzalez, because you're not gonna have a number 10 on the field. So your strikers are going to have to exchange turns playing at number 10, or getting those positions where you drop at the edge of the box, or you go inside the box, or you drop back to receive the ball. So if you have all that to care of, I don't see why not you try this formation against stronger opponents.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So hopefully we'll give it a go, and by we I mean they, and we shall see how it turns out. But all of that said, our last question here before we move on in the rest of the segments that we have scheduled here is man of the match. Leo, who are you taking for that?
I actually had to think about this for a little bit, James. It was between Adebayo-Smith and Lachowecki. And I know it's easy to say that Lachowecki should get it because he has a goal and assist for the game. But I'm giving it to Jordan Adebayo-Smith for this game because, as I mentioned earlier, that second goal could not have happened if it wasn't for the constant press, the constant threat of Jordan Adebayo-Smith. Although he did miss plenty of opportunities to extend our lead by 2 or 3 goals, he ultimately got his goal, and he just kept on going. He didn't really see in his play where he stopped that hunger to score another goal, whether it was a miss after miss, chance after chance. He just kept on going, kept his head up, and I believe the man of the match in my eyes goes to Jordan Adebayo-Smith.
Well, I do appreciate everything that you laid out there to make that point, but unfortunately, I have to take the opposite side and go with Max Lachowecki on it.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
Yeah, he did have, like you said, the goal and the assist, but it wasn't just the goal and the assist that he had over the course of this game. He also had 4 total shots. I believe that was up there with the highest in the game. He had 3 chances created. That was definitely the highest in the game for an individual player. If you look at his defensive side, it's even better. He had 9 duels won, and he had 5 recoveries, 2 interceptions, and 5 aerials won as well. So those are all really good stats in terms of a defensive presence, which, as a defender, that is still your first job. You got to make sure that you get that done before you can move forward, and he did get that done before he moved forward and then found himself a goal and an assist. But yeah, I like both of the games that these guys played over this past Friday. But yeah,
I respect your man of the match. I will say that.
All right, and we will go into our hot takes. And Leo, you have one here related to my man of the match, Max Lachowecki.
Yeah, even though everyone's talking about Lachowecki this weekend, the such professionalism he demonstrates within the team, how he comes in for the injured Fernandez and he gets a goal and assist. He's a hero for the night. He's your man of the match. And like I said, although he had a great game, we have to remember that he was put in because of an injury to Leo Fernandez. So with that being said, we mentioned how he's a squad player as well. So I would still prefer for Leo Fernandez or even Sebastian Dalgard to come in and start over Lachowecki. And that's nothing to take away from Lachowecki. I know he's a great player. He does his job. He does whatever Neil Collins asks for him. He's always making the right crosses. He's trying, to position himself in the best situations during the game. But he's a great example of a good rotational player, someone who comes in, does his role, and then goes back, to the bench and just performs on his next opportunity. But with that being said, I would still prefer Leo Fernandez or Sebastian Dalgard to take his spot on that starting 11 sheet.
Well, the other thing about Max Lachowecki being a squad player is that he can play several different roles, and we saw this last year. Yep. If somebody gets injured on the back line between Guy and Forrest Lasso, possibly even Jordan Scarlett, I don't know if he'd be willing to go over to that far of a right-footed spot, but he would definitely be able to fill in pretty well there. So I think that is a big part of it for me. And I have a hot take that is a little silly, but also a little serious here. Just mine is all in good fun, of course. Jordan Adebayo-Smith does need to maybe work on his shooting, spend a little time after practice there doing that. But I know, obviously, like I said, he's a young player, and this is the longest I believe that he's been with one specific team at this age since he actually turned professional. So, what's really going to help him is a lot more game time and a lot more experience. I mentioned all of that earlier, and I won't reiterate the point here. As I said, it's all in good fun, and if Jordan Adebayo-Smith ever catches wind of this, I want to make sure that he's aware that I appreciate all the work that he put in because, you don't get on the end of as many chances as he did without putting in a good shift, and I know that he did that, but it was frustrating to watch at times when you're, when you've got it on your phone, when you've got it up on the television, and you're like, okay, this is a goal. Oh, okay, all right. Well, we're gonna get the next one. We're gonna get the next one. Luckily, he ultimately did do that.
And then the next one comes, and you have that same feeling of like, all right, next one.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing I'm not sure which basketball player it was. It might be LeBron James or Kobe Bryant, but I did read this thing way back how one of those players, or maybe not even those 2 basketball players I named, but there is a basketball player that takes 100 shots, I think 100 or even more, each time after practice. They stay behind once the team leaves, and they just take 100 shots from the free throw line or even the 3-point line, just for extra practice. And when you first put this on your hot take, I'm just thinking maybe Adebayo Smith needs to stay after everyone leaves and just take 100 shots from different positions in the 18-yard box, and maybe that'll help him putting away chances.
Yeah, 10 from every position in a 10-point radius around the goal. Let's see
Yeah,
something like
exactly.
that. But
Yeah,
anyway, like we said, all in good fun. Jordan Adebayo-Smith is a hardworking guy, and I know that he's going to improve on those stats. But even if he doesn't, he still has two goals against the New York Red Bulls, and I certainly don't.
yeah. Now we both know that he loves playing against the New York Red Bulls team, and as we know, from the first time we played him, he scored his first goal for the Rowdies, and now he gets another goal for the Rowdies against the same opponent. But with our hot take being said, I think it's okay with you, James, that we can move into our standings update.
Yeah, let's see where the
Yeah.
Rowdies are, and let's see who's around them.
Exactly. Yeah. So Rowdies do remain, unfortunately, in second place in the Atlantic Division. They have 30 points from 16 games. The Rowdies are behind Pittsburgh Riverhounds, who have 33 points from 17 games. So we do have one game played less than the Riverhounds. We're only 3 points behind. So depending on when that game in hand happens, which we might never know because the schedule is crazy from USL this season. Both teams do have a +8 goal differential. So, like I said, depending on how the result in that game in hand goes for the Rowdies, they could possibly go back on top. But with that being said, they cannot drop any more points. We've seen how they've been dropping points, and they faced a punishment for it. They dropped out first place of the Atlantic Division. And in regards to the Eastern Conference, the Rowdies are in third place. They're behind Louisville City FC, who are in first place, who with an impressive record have 36 points from 17 games. And obviously, they're behind Pittsburgh Riverhounds, so they do fall in third in the Eastern Conference. And we do remember at one point the Rowdies were both first in their division and first in the conference. But because they're dropping points, they are now second in the division and third in the Eastern Conference.
So yeah, as you said, we can't drop any more points because it's really getting to be crunch time here, and
Yeah.
we really want to make sure that we're in the best position possible once we get into the playoff scenarios. But that will come another day later in the season. Right now, we have to look to our next game. That is against Hartford, as we mentioned. Again, it is Friday, August the 13th. Everybody, make sure that you are ready for the spooky night. It's not Halloween, but you can pretend that it is at least. And the game will be at 7:30 at Al Lang Stadium. I'm gonna try and get out there and experience the atmosphere that we're gonna find out there. I'm sure it's gonna be a full moon, lots of howling of fans at the very least, if not something that lives out in the bay by St. Pete there, and that's what we're all hoping for, at least something that will scare Hartford, let's say.
Exactly.
Because last time out the Rowdies lost 1-0 at home. We obviously do not want to see another home loss. That is as close to unacceptable as it gets for a team as good as the Rowdies. And this team are currently fourth in the Atlantic Division. This is the same division as the Rowdies, I should say. They have 24 points from 15 games, and they have a record of 7 wins, 5 losses, and 3 draws. That is with 1 less game played than us. They are in a bit of shaky form right now. They've only got 1 win in their last 5 games, but obviously, as mentioned, the Rowdies are in a bit of a shaky form themselves. They need to hopefully turn this into a little bit of a streak. We've been win 1, lose 1, win 1, lose 1 for I think 4 weeks now. So maybe we can turn that around and get 2 in a row. But that's what makes this such a big game. And one player that I do want to mention, we've obviously played Hartford a couple of times at this point in the season. There's not too much new to deal with out there. They're gonna probably try to come out with some new formation or lineup or whatever it is to put us off from the way that we played them. And we'll see that when the lineups come out. But there's actually one new player on their roster. So his name is Kanon Hote. He comes from the New York Red Bulls Youth Academy, someone who was not with their team this past week, obviously. His older brother was the first homegrown player in New York Red Bulls history. That guy, Shachi Hote, he did not actually work out for them in terms of a long-term player, and I believe he is a coach right now, but this is his younger brother. And if I'm not mistaken, he's 16 years old at this point. He is, considered a very, very good prospect. I believe that he signed with a USL Championship team so that he might be able to, in the future, instead of signing an MLS contract, ultimately go and try and see if he can make it in Europe. Good for him. And in the meantime, it is also good for Hartford and kind of bad for us. But he is somebody to keep an eye out on. He will be, I believe, a central attacking midfielder. And if he starts the game, that's where you should see him line up. But all of that is now out of the way, so we got to move into our predictions before we can hit up a congratulations to a guy who will be leaving the Rowdies after several years. Leo, you go back and forth every week. Every week. What do you want to? What do you want to do this week? Are you taking the first prediction, or are you taking the second one?
You know what, James? I'm thinking about it, and I will let you take the first stab at it this week.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna do the first prediction here, and let me see. What am I thinking? If I can reach into my spooky crystal ball for August the 13th, I am going to grab out the mental picture of a 2-0 Rowdies win. A 2-0 Rowdies win is what I'm seeing.
I am going for a 1-1 draw. I think these two teams are both in shaky form, so I think both teams will be happy with the 1-1 draw. Maybe less happy for Rowdies fans because you're at home, first game home after a while, but I am predicting a 1-1 draw.
Okay. All right. Well, those are our predictions. And if anybody else has predictions, obviously you can let us know how wrong we are and why. We are happy to hear that. But in the meantime, we will cover our last two bits here. I think that, Leo, you had something that you wanted to point out to all of our listeners.
Yeah, so before we let everybody out of here, the Rowdies Academy, they will play their second game of the USL Academy season this Saturday at 2:00 p.m. at Al Lang Stadium. They will be playing against the Miami FC's Academy team, and we do know that the last time they played, people were able to watch it via the Rowdies Twitch. I'm not sure if it's the same scenario, but if they showed it there once, it's probably your best bet to check it out to see if it'll be there again. If not, we do apologize. We'll try to figure out as soon as possible. We might put it out during the week on our Twitter account. Where
we'll also be following their Twitter account to make sure that we get the information, and we can obviously boost that signal once we know it.
Yeah, definitely. So keep an eye out for that, or if you yourself know where you can watch it at, feel free to hit us up via social media too. That way we could spread the news to other Rowdies fans. And also, the last thing we want to mention here is a special shout out to Andrew Keene, who's the head athletic trainer for the Rowdies. He announced on Sunday via Twitter that after almost 7 seasons and 250 games, he will leave his post with the Rowdies. So thank you, Andrew, for everything you've done for the club. We know the players are usually in front of the camera, the face of the club, but it's important to recognize the other people that make up the Rowdies, this Rowdies team. So athletic trainers definitely do deserve some respect. They're the ones who make sure the players are performing at their best ability. If players are injured, these are the people that try to get them back on the pitch to win games and to make fans happy. So thank you, Andrew, for all the work you've done for your time during the Rowdies, and best of luck to your future.
Absolutely. A best of luck to you in whatever field you move into next, whether it is with another team or maybe just something entirely out of the sport. We wish you everything in the world that you deserve there. So thank you, listeners, for tuning in this week. I think that about wraps it up for us, and we want to let you know as well that you can follow us at RBLR Sports. We are on Instagram, we are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, and you can also get in touch with me. I am most active on Twitter at RBLR James K. And Leo, you were on there too.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. You could whether it's about the game or soccer or anything in general, you can find me on Twitter at _Leo Santos __. Don't forget about those 2 underscores at the end.
Yeah, get in touch with us. Let us know if you have any questions. You can use the hashtag AskRBLR if you would like to specifically do that. If you just want to reach out to us, you want to give us a comment, you want to give us a note for a game or a show, you want to troll us, that's perfectly fine. That's what social media is for, right? So, just get in touch with us and let us know. And other than that, you can also like and subscribe to our podcast. You can do that on Spotify, on the iHeartRadio app, on Apple and Google Podcasts, as well as YouTube and all other major podcast platforms.
Yeah, so with all that being said, there's only one thing left to say. Come on, you Rowdies. Let's go, Rowdies. Let's keep this winning vibe, this winning culture here in Tampa. So, yeah, come on, let's go. And best of luck to the Rowdies this Friday night.
Best of luck, and let's go Rowdies.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.